For today, we will discuss BP 22, Batas Pambansang Bilang 22. This is a special law. When you say special law, you don't have to prove your intent in committing a crime. That's why in BP 22, the moment you issue a check that is worthless, meaning it bounced, then you will be liable. No defense that you were in good faith. Good faith is not a defense, in other words, in special law. So let's start. So we have here some notable cases for violation of BP 22. We have here the case of Julie Isumbilya versus Matrix Finance. This case simply says, according to the Supreme Court, that the violation of BP 22 is per check that bounced. So if you issued checks, like for example, 10 checks and all of those bounce, then there would be violation of BP 22 of 10 counts. So each count will be penalized and then that will be multiplied by 10. So malaki po masyado. The Supreme Court affirmed that mayroon siyang 6 counts of violation because there were 6 cases involved. Rather, 6 checks involved. Here also, Sumbilya was sentenced to pay a fine with subsidiary imprisonment. Meaning to say, we will know later on that in BP 22, the judge has the discretion whether he would impose a penalty or a punishment of imprisonment or just a fine or even both, depending on the accused. Usually, if you are the first-time offender, the judge will simply fine you, not put you in jail or not penalize you with imprisonment. So here, sabi ng korte, sentenced to pay a fine. Meaning to say, wala kong kulong. Pero, sabi ng korte, there could be a subsidiary imprisonment. Meaning to say, if you cannot pay the fine, then you will pay through imprisonment. So, nandun ka sa kulungan hanggang mabayaran mo ang utang mo. Sa batas kasi, every day you spend in a jail, mayroon yung supposedly commensurate value. Long time ago, 8 pesos per day yan. Matagal na matagal. I am not really aware how much today. So, kaya nga, sa batas, pag nakulong ka, and then later on, after quite some time, napawalang sala ka, babayaran ka ng gobyerno. Punta ka sa DOJ, sabihin mo, malicious prosecution, I spent this much time in jail, i-compute ko yun kung magkano, and then ibibigay yan sa'yo. Maliban pa kung gusto ka mag-file ng damages. But in here, sinasabi, the point here is that if you cannot pay the fine, then imprisonment will be imposed. Dito naman sa case ni Steve Tan, it talks about payment does not abate the crime of BP 22. Once the case has been filed already, and then nagbayad ka dun sa obligation sa check, and then the case has been decided or the case has proceeded already, ang sabi po dito, payment does not abate the crime of BP 22. Because again, that is a special law and this is a criminal act. In criminal act, as a rule, negotiation among parties are not allowed because there is an interest of the state. Unlike in civil cases that you could arrange that with another party and both of you will file an agreement before the court, compromise agreement or settlement, and then the case will be dismissed on that ground. But in BP 22, since this is a criminal act, people of the Philippines versus Celis, there is an interest of the state such that you cannot just withdraw the case without the consent of the state. So we have here, the purpose of BP 22 is to punish individuals that issues a worthless check. And in crimes, there are 2 types of crimes. We have mala prohibita and mala inse. BP 22 is regarded as mala prohibita. Okay? Because ordinarily, issuance of a check without funds is not wrong. Unlike in mala inse, pag sinabi kasi natin mala inse, without the crime, the commission of that act or omission is inherently wrong. Kahit wala pang batas, for example, ang murder, mali talaga yan. Ang pang-rape, mali talaga yan. Yung kidnapping, all of these are inherently wrong even without the crime that punishes it. Kaya nga, mala in se sila. Sa BP 22 naman, mala prohibita yan kasi mali lang yan dahil may special law right now that punishes the issuance of a worthless check. Without that, sana wala. Kaya nga again, BP 22 is mala prohibita. Now, sabi nila, may mga nag-question before, yung BP 22 ba unconstitutional? Because all laws, in order to be valid, must bow down to the mandates of the Constitution. Hindi po pwede yung batas would run counter to the provisions, articles of the Constitution. So may mga nagtatanong, hindi kaya ang BP 22 unconstitutional? Kasi sabi ng batas, or sabi ng Constitution under Article 2, Section 28, if I'm not mistaken, no person could be imprisoned for non-payment of debt or poll tax. In other words, walang taong makukulong pag hindi siya nakabayad ng utang. Na-discuss natin yan in simple loan or mutuum. Pag ordinary loan po, hindi ka makukulong. Kasi nga, that is civil in nature. Walang, sinasabi natin, walang bahid ng panluloko. So ngayon, by application, may utang ka sa akin, instead of bayaran mo ngayon, sabi mo, attorney, wala po akong pambayad, so payag ka ba na issuean kita ng cheque? Post-dated check. Okay? So mamaya, ma-discuss natin ano yung post-dated check. Pumayag po ako. When the date as stated in the check arrived, I went to the bank to encash or deposit such check. Tumalbog ang cheque ngayon. Kinasuhan kita. Granting, sabi ng judge, makulong ka. Can you question, sabihin mo, unconstitutional yung batas na yan? Kasi, di ba hindi ako dapat makulong dahil hindi ako nagbayad ng utang? Yun yung mga proponents doon. Pero sabi ng korte, hindi po. Hindi ka nakulong dahil hindi ka nagbayad ng utang, but nakulong ka dahil nag-issue ka ng cheque na tumalbog. In other words, the punishment of imprisonment there is because of your issuance of a worthless check that is a violation of special law on BP 22, not simply because you did not pay your obligation or your indebtedness. So wala po yun. And also, wala pong impairment ng contracts. Kaya nga sabi natin kanina, kahit mag-usap kayo dyan, pag involved ang BP 22, hindi basta-basta because again, there is an interest of the state to protect. And what is that interest? The banking system. Laganap na po yung talbugan na cheque. So sabi ng court, i-regulate natin yan. Kahit may kontrata pa kayo dyan, there is no violation on impairment of contracts because the state would come in the exercise of its police power. And we know when you say police power, regulation of person's life and property for public welfare. Now, ito po yung cheque. Check. Lahat po tayo nakakita na po ng cheque. It is a form of a bill of exchange. Take note, in a check, there are three parties. We have the drawer, the one that issues the check, the payee in whose favor the check was issued, meaning to say siya po yung beneficiary or sabihin natin siya po yung tatanggap ng amount ng cheque at ang drawee. The drawee, it is a drawee bank. Ito po yung kung saan dadalhin ng payee yung cheque. So in other words, ang drawer po pala, mayroon siyang account sa bangko. So paano ba ito nag-ooperate ang checking system? Ito po. Ako po ay pupunta sa bangko, o-open po ako ng checking account. Sa ngayon, kung wala ka pang checking account at wala kang savings account sa bangko, hindi ka automatic bibigyan ng checking account. Kailangan mag-maintain ka muna for 3 months sa pagkakaalam ko ng savings account. Pag may savings account ka na good for 3 months, then worth it na to. Pwede ka na mag-apply ngayon ng checking account. Pero yung ibang bangko, ina-allow nila yun kasi kliyente po. But under the rule, ganun po yun. Now, once you have a checking account already, pupunduhan mo na yan. And then, bibigyan ka ngayon ng checkbook, checkero, meron ka na. And then, if you have the obligations, you could issue a check already. Remember that the check you issued or checks you issued are linked to your checking account. Doon po yan ibabawas. That's why, nandun yung drawing bank. Na pag-issue mo ng cheque in favor of the payee, dadalhin ng payee yung cheque na in-issue mo sa bangko mo para ipapa-encash. So ngayon, papasok na po yung drawing bank, titingnan kung may pondo ba po because we know that the check you issue is linked with your checking account. Titingnan ngayon yan. Pag may pondo, then i-honor, bibigyan ka ng pera. Pag walang pondo, mababounce po yan siya because of the if drawn against insufficient fund. Or later on, makikita natin na closed account. So ngayon, ito po yung cheque. Take note, checks need not be presented for acceptance. Hindi muna, kasi ang cheque, saan mo pinapresent ang cheque? Sa bangko. So when you bring the check to the bank, hindi na kailangan niya titingnan, ay, hindi namin to i-accept. Because by nature, sa kanila galing yung cheque. AUB, for example, I have a checking account sa AUB. The moment I issue a check in your favor and you present that check to the AUB, and sa ngayon po, kahit saang branch na, long time ago, doon lang talaga yun sa bangko kung saan ka na-issue. Kasi wala pang dati yung mga, tawag nito, online checking of your signature. Ngayon kasi bago ka may checking account, pipirma ka doon, tapos ida-download nila yung perma mo. And then, wherever branch that you would like to encash the check, machi-check nila yan. Any branch for that matter anymore. So, balik po tayo, pag nag-present ka ng check, accepted talaga yan siya. That's why check are not presented for acceptance because the checks themselves are issued by the bank where you present that for payment. Kaya sabi dito, checks are drawn against the bank and payable on demand. Ganun po ang mangyari. Now, what if for example you go to the bank, inisyuhan kita ng cheque ko, and then pumunta ka sa AUB, and the AUB did not pay you the check, the money, because the check is not supported by a fund, insufficient fund. Can you demand from the bank na babayaran ka talaga? The answer is no, because there is no privacy of the contract between you and the bank. Ang kontrata mo is nandun sa akin kung saan may obligasyon po ako at nag-issue po ako ng cheque. Walang kang kontrata sa bangko. Kasi ang kontrata naman doon is between the bank and the maker or the check holder or the person that issues a check. So wala kang karapatan doon. Ang mangyari lang dito, the bank will issue this, sabihin sa'yo, ay bounce po ang cheque, mag-issue ka ng notice of dishonor. Madidiscuss natin yan mamaya. Ngayon, in practice, pag na-issuean ka ng cheque, dalawa po ang pwede mong gagawin. Ano yung dalawa mong pwedeng gagawin? Pwede ka pumunta doon sa branch or doon sa bangko, like in our example, AUB, at doon ka anong tawag nun? In cash. Kung pagod ka, ayaw mo pumunta sa AUB, at saka iba yung bangko mo, pwede naman kasi AUB yung bangko mo, mas mabilis yun. Pag deposit mo, pasok agad yan, kasi isang bangko lang. What if ang bangko mo ay BDO? Okay? Pwede din pag na-issuean ka ng checking ng AUB sa akin, ayaw mo pumunta sa AUB, pwede ka pupunta sa bangko mo, BDO. Hindi mo yan ma-encash, but instead, i-deposit mo yan. Kaya nga pag nakita mo, pag na-deposit mo, nandun yung available balance mo at nandun yung current balance mo. Ang current mataas pa yan kasi hindi mo pa magamit yung cheque, yung amount ng cheque na nandun. Kasi may clearing period pa. I-clear muna. Your BDO bank will coordinate with my AUB bank. Titingnan po yun. Pag may pondo, yun, ta-transfer, papasok, and then magre-reflect na yun ngayon sa available balance mo. That's why may clearing period not to exceed 3 banking days. Yun po. Now, ito po yung drawee, drawer, at payee. Ang una po nito is that may checking ka na. For example, kasi mayroon kang AUB, may checking ka na doon, and then mayroon kang checking account. Link with that. Ngayon, pag nag-issue ka ng checking, for example, kanino mo i-issue? Doon sa payee. Kasi ito po yung tao na may obligasyon kang bayaran. And ayaw mo magdala ng cash for convenience, di ba? So, ang gagawin mo ngayon, issue ka ng checking. Ngayon, ang payee pupunta dito sa bangko ko. Okay? Drawing, kasi doon niya pa in cash. Take note here that the drawee is primarily liable. Liable on what? To encash and or to honor the check. Siya po ang may primary obligation to encash or to do good the check. Kasi nandun dapat ang account at saka nandun ang pera po. Pero pag hindi siya makabayad, then that's the time na ako po secondarily liable. Bakit secondary liable? Kasi mayroon ngang notice of dishonor. That is a requirement in law in BP 22 that in all checks that bounce, the drawer will be notified that the check he issued bounce. So that he will be given 5 banking days to do good. Yun po ang mangyari sa sistema. Galing sa drawer, papunta sa payee, and then after sa payee, pupunta siya sa bangko para i-encash. And then, ang drawee bank, mayroon siyang primary responsibility to do good the check. Pag hindi po, dahil for 2 reasons, close na ang account, or DAIF, drawn against insufficient fund, then, inotify ng payee ang drawer. Oy, walang pondo ang bangko mo, ang account mo sa bangko, or na-close mo na pala, mayroon kang 5 araw na bayaran po ito, or makipag-arrange sa akin. Otherwise, then that's the time that the payee could now go to the office of the prosecutor para magsampa ng kaso for violation of BP 20. Now, lahat ng check as a rule is covered by BP 22. May mga exceptions tayo mamaya. So it covers any check, whether present dated or post dated. When you say post dated, ano po ito? The check is given to you now. Today is April 11. But the date of the check reflects a future date. So nandun, binigay ko sa iyo ngayon, may transaction tayo, binigay ko sa iyo yung checking kasi may utang ako sa iyo or may obligasyon ko ako sa iyo. Sabi ko, I cannot give you cash right now. Do you mind if I'll give you a check? Sure. So, ilagay ko dito April 15 ha. But today is April 11. This is a post-dated check because our agreement is today, April 11, but the check is intended to be in cash or deposited only on April 15. Now, once you have this check, from today until April 15, wala kang magawa sa check-in. As a rule, walang under sa batas, wala kang magawa because you have to wait until April 15 na pwede mo tong i-deposit or pwede mo tong i-encash. Yan, ganun po ang mangyari. However, sa practice ngayon, may mga style. Mayroon tayong tinatawag na rediscounting. Although wala ito sa batas, this is in the practice. Ano to yung rediscounting? May mga businessman na kung kilala nila kung sino ang nag-issue ng cheque or may idea sila ng itong cheque, issue to ng abogado, malamang hindi to tatalbog, mapahiya siya, makasuhan siya, di ba? Ma-report siya sa IBP. So in those cases, may rediscounting. For example, yung cheque na in-issue ko sa iyo April 15, ang nakalagay doon 100,000. So from today until April 15, wala kang magawa sa cheque. Pero kailangan mo na ng pera. Ikaw po ay nagre-rediscount. Lalapit ka sa kanya, Sir, mayroon po akong cheque dito, post-dated. In-issue po ng ganitong tao April 15. Pwede mo pa bang i-rediscount to? Parang gano'n. Titingnan niya ngayon. Oh, yes, FEU ang nag-issue ng cheque. So malamang hindi to tatalbo. So ngayon, sasabihin niya 5% po. So instead of 100,000, bibigyan niya ng 95,000 or 90,000. And then, bibigyan niya yung cheque doon. And then, when April 15 comes, siya na po ang magpapa-encash. Yun yung mga business ng mga Chinese friends natin. Lalo sa business world. Like for example, construction ka. Ako, may mga kliyente at relatives ako na construction. Ganon. Pag nag-issue yung isang construction supply sa'yo, ng check, kailangan mo na ng pera, papa-rediscount mo. That is on rediscounting. Okay, now, checks. Now, post-dated checks, we have discussed that already. This is intended after the date it was issued. Sa batas po, kailangan pag mag-issue ka ng cheque, mayroon kang obligasyon. Under the law, while it is true that any person who issues a check and the check bounces, pwede siyang kasuhan because balik po tayo, this is a special law. The moment that the check bounce, no other considerations would be taken. Good faith is not a defense. Kaya lang, sabi din natin, dapat mayroong consideration. Binili ko po ito sa'yo, and then inissuean po kita ng cheque, post-dated. Pag tumalbog po, yayain po ako. A case could be filed against me, there is no defense. However, if there is I am only an accommodation party. I handled the case before na yung nag-issue ng cheque, accommodation lang siya. Ano po itong accommodation? Mayroon kang transaction sa kanya. But this guy wanted you to issue a check. Wala kang cheque, bebe. You are not a check holder. Wala. So what you did, kilala mo ako. Okay. Sinabi mo, attorney, may transaction po ako doon, kaya lang gusto ng ka-transaction ko, mag-issue po ako ng cheque. Wala naman po akong cheque. Pwede mo ba ako ma-accommodate? So yun. So in this case, I am an accommodation party and the check I issued was an accommodation check. Wala kasi akong natanggap sa iyo eh. Wala, sila po. So ngayon, nag-issue po. Kanino natin i-issue to? Kay June Villegas. Issue natin. So ngayon, binigay mo na kay Sir June. Yan. Accommodation check yan kasi wala po akong natanggap from that person. Tumalbog yung cheque. Pwede ba akong makasuhan? Makasuhan ka nga because regardless of the reason, once the check bounce, then BP22 would lie. However, pag may kaso na nandun na sa korte or sa fiscal, I could raise a defense that the issuance of the check was without a consideration. Wala po akong natanggap na nag-issue ako ng cheque and therefore, pwede po yan ma-dismiss. Okay? Yun po ang guarantee check, okay, to guarantee the performance of an obligation. Okay? And then foreign check issued against a foreign bank. Whether the check is drawn and issued in the Philippines or though payable outside, pwede po yan. Dito in-issue, sa labas dapat bayaran, that is still covered by BP22. Now, this is an example of a cashier check or a manager's check. Because ordinarily in BP22, we have personal check. Sa personal check po, ito po yung cheque na ini-issue ng individual person. Siya po ang nag-i-issue ng cheque, yung individual person. Sa pangalan po yan, Pretty Celis. That is an individual check. So wala masyadong assurance kasi baka yun nga, wala ng laman or close account. Whereas if it is issued by the manager of the bank or by the cashier of the bank, ang mangyari po ito, that is good as cash. Wala na pong clearing yan. I went last time sa Lawag and then the client sold a property and yung nagbili, kailangan niya magbayad. And then, hassle, bayaran ka ng let's say 5 million, bitbit ka ng pera, delikado. I did is pa-issue ka ng cheque. But of course, kahit tiwala ka sa kanya, mas maganda talaga manager's check or cashier's check. Because in cashier or manager check, ito po yung mangyari. May transaction po ako, tapos sabihin ko sa kayo, okay sir, issuean mo lang ako ng manager's check. Kasi yun yung gusto ng client ko. Para hindi siya ma-offend, di ba? Wala ka bang tiwala sa personal check ko? Hindi naman sa ganun, sir. Pero sabi ng client, managers or cashiers check. Ang mangyari kasi niyan, tatawagan niyo yung bangko niya. Tingin. Yes, si ano po ito? Henry. Ay, Sir Henry, ano po, pa-issue po ako ng manager's check or cashier check, depende. Kay Attorney Celis po, 5 million. Titingnan na yun ng manager kung may pondo. Pag may pondo, issuean na ngayon ng manager's check. In other words, it's not Henry that would sign the check, but it is the officer of the bank. And that is good as cash. Wala ng clearing period po yun. Okay? So that is managers and cashier check. Hindi siya covered ng BP22 because by the nature that they are deemed considered as cash. Now, issuing a check first time. Kasi sa cheque po, mayroon tayong ini-endorse. Kagaya nito, nag-issue po ako ng cheque for the first time ngayon, April 11, 2025. Pay to Vicente Budani. And then pinirmahan ko. That is issuance of a check. When Sir Vic receives this, and then pipirmahan niya sa likod, at negotiable, pinadala niya doon kasi may utang siya. May utang si Sir Vic sa kanya, ayaw niya magbayad ng cash. Sir, endorse ko na lang. Just happen of equal amount, that is not considered as issuance of a check anymore because that is not the first time. It could be an endorsement of a check. Okay. Now, credit. When you talk credit here, it is different from credit and credit transaction and also in obligation and contract. Sa credit kasi doon is iba po yung ang sabi dito. Iba ang understanding. Ang credit dito, the credit here in BP22 is the negotiation that would take place after the check has bounced or even before the check has bounced. Di ba ang credit sa credit transactions, utang talaga? Meaning to say, may utang ka sa akin, bayaran mo, credit po yun. Otherwise, cash transaction po yun. Ang credit sa BP22, iba po yung arrangement nyo. For example, nag-issue po ako sa iyo ng cheque. Today is April 11, 2025. Now, the check is dated April 15, 2025. Do you follow? Noong April 14, the day before na i-deposit mo or in cash ng cheque, tinawagan kita. Ting. Hello, sir. Pwede mo ba mag-usap tayo? Bakit? Sir, pwede ba na hindi mo muna i-deposito yung cheque? Bakit naman? Kasi hindi ko mapupunduhan yan, sir. Tatalbog at tatalbog din yan. Paano to? May interest to, parang ganito. That is credit. In other words, once we agree na wag mo na lang, sir, i-deposit muna, tapos pwede kukunin ko na lang yung cheque, issuean kita ng panibago. Pwede po yun. For example, balik po tayo. Ang cheque na in-issue ko sa iyo is 110,000. Kasi ang utang ko sa iyo is 100 plus may interest na 10,000. Mag-due ng April 15, that's why I issued a check dated April 15. Comes April 15, bago pa pala ng April 15, kinausap kita, Sir, April 14, wag po sir i-deposito, sir, tatalbog yan. Okay, ganun ang nangyayari. O paano to? May interest pa. Willing po ako, sir, mag-issue ng cheque for May. Talaga? O anong mangyari? Issuean na kita ng 120,000, kukunin ko na yung cheque. Yan, di ba? Gets nyo? So, ganun po. That could be falling under transaction on sinasabi natin, credit. Or better still, an arrangement na pumayag ka pala na hindi mo. Mayroon akong kliyente ganyan. Pumayag na siya na hindi i-deposit. Usap sila. Okay. Oo, si ano po ito, hindi ko pwede pwede pa muna wag mo i-deposit yan kasi ganito eh. Kung anong mga reason, nandito pa ako sa Bulacan. Pwede naman i-deposit. Wala akong pera. But anyway, the point is, ganun. Pumayag na hindi i-deposito. Pero talagang diniposit niya, tumalbog na yun. Kinasuhan niya. Na-realize niya, wala akong tiwala dito. Friend ko to, pero wala akong tiwala. Tumalbog. Kinasuhan niya ngayon. Ang depensa doon, there was a subsequent arrangement and that could be considered as credit. Di ba sabi mo, wag mo i-deposit, ba't dineposito mo? Mayroon tayo yan. So that could be a defense later on sa fiscal or sa korte kung ano ba ang nangyari. Okay? Now, what do you mean dishonor the check? Dishonor the check is, sabi natin, the check is presented to the bank. I'll go to the drawer's bank. In our example, AUB, nandun. And then when the bank, after seeing my checking account is not sufficient on the amount stated, then the bank will stamp the check. This is the check. Tatakan po nila yan, stamp. Ganon. Dishonor. Or sometimes, sa likod, dishonor. And may reasons po yun. May box po dun. Daif or closed account. Daif, drawn against insufficient fund. Anong ibig sabihin nito? Nag-issue po ako ng cheque sa'yo worth 50,000. Pero nang dinipot, in-encash niya yan, hindi umabot yung available balance ko ng 50,000. So, drawn against insufficient fund. Or it could be that the check is dishonored for closed account. Closed account po. Ano naman itong closed account? Kasi bro, and every check that bounces, mayroong penalty. Do you follow? And every check that bounces, mayroong penalty. Depende sa bangko. The last time I checked, long time ago, it's 1,200 per check na nag-bounce. So what if, for example, nag-issue ka ng 10 cheque? So that is 120,000. And ayaw mo mabawasan yung pera mo sa bangko, but you are sure that hindi mo na pwede mapondohan. For example, nag-issue po ako sa iyo ng cheque, marami tayong transaction, 10 cheque at 100,000 each. So all in all, that is 1 million. So that is 1 million. Ngayon, ang nangyari is that tumalbog po yung lahat. So under the law, not tumalbog, alam ko na when the date of the check will arrive, I cannot fund the check. Wala akong pangpundo nun. Pero may pera ako sa bangko na 500,000. So kung dumating yung araw na due ang cheque, tapos hindi ko mapunduan, kakaltasan niya ng bangko ng, in our example, 1-2 per day. Isang po yun, 120,000. Ayaw po yun. So ang nangyayari, ang ginagawa ng account holder, pupunta sila sa bangko bago pa darating yung date ng cheque at i-close nila yung kanilang account. And of course, kung ikaw yung bangko, you are not in a position to say, sir, bago namin i-close yung account mo, isurrender mo lahat ng mga cheque, at saka para there is no such requirement. Kasi nga, the relationship in the bank and the depositor is of creditor and debtor. Simple loan or mutuum, wherein the depositor or the check holder is the creditor and the bank is the debtor. So at any time, the creditor as the depositor may demand the closure of his account. Walang magawa. So ikaw naman, pagpunta mo doon, thinking that ma-encash mo yung mga cheques, you'll be surprised when the teller of the bank would say, I'm sorry sir, the account has been closed. So lahat po ito, talbog, bounce po doon. 10 po yan. The reason there is not daif but closed account. So I was just giving you how this daif or how this closed account will work. Stop payment. Ano tong stop payment order? Stop payment order, okay? SPO. Sa stop payment order, this is an order coming from the drawer, meaning from the person who issued the check, informing and directing the bank not to release the money as stated in the check. For example, mayroon po akong transaction sa iyo, sir. Kailangan ko po ng 2 dump truck ng buhangin. Okay. So ngayon, may transaction tayo. And then, out of the transaction, I issued you checks. magkano ba yan lahat? Ganito, for example, 500,000, issuean kita sir ng cheque, 250 ngayon, and then 250, let's say, in 15 days. Do you follow? Ayan. So una, na-deliver na ang first shipment. Of course, na-encash ang first cheque. Ngayon, nalaman ko na hindi mo sir sinunod yung usapan natin sa mga delivery. Instead na gravel or sand or whatever, or ang hollow blocks ba yan na ganito yung composition, hindi po. Mali po sir, of lesser quality ang dineliver mo. So dahil doon, mayroong violation sa kontrata natin. So ngayon, tawagan ko na yung bangko. Bank, pag dineposito or pag in-encash mo ang cheque na yan, stop payment order. Huwag kang mag-release. That is stop payment order. Because again, the payee for some reasons did not comply with the arrangement or with the conditions or with the agreement with the agreement niya sa isa sa drawer. So in this case, pwede ang drawer mag-issue or mag-direct sa bangko on the stop payment order. But take note here, dapat sa stop payment order may sufficient funds ka. Kasi, sabi ng batas, yung stop payment order will not be used as a tool or as a way within which a person could avoid the drawer, could avoid his responsibility. Kasi sa totoo lang, wala talaga siyang pondo. So sabi ng batas, pag mag-stop payment order ka, mayroon ka talagang laman. For example, balik po tayo kanina sa illustration natin, pinastop payment ko yung second check worth 250,000. Dapat pagpunta mo sa bangko, sabihan ka na, sir, pinastop payment po ito. Dapat during the time of the presentment of the check, mayroon po laman yung aking checking account in the amount of 250,000 as stated in the check or even more. Otherwise, if there is no such amount or if the amount is less than 250,000 as stated in the check being presented, then, sabi ng batas, magiging bounce check din yan. Magiging daif din yan. Okay? So, bottom line, sa stop payment order, pwede lang po yan siya kung ang amount mo, if you are the drawer, is enough to cover the check that you have directed the bank or ordered the bank to stop the payment. Now, bouncing check, we have discussed that already, DAO, DAIF. There is a charge. Under here, there is a bank charge for a bounce check. And then, there are two ways kung saan an offense of violation of BP 22 would be committed. So we have here first offense and second offense. This is again under BP 22. Ang first offense po dito, kung makikita mo, nag-issue ka ng cheque on account for value or account for value, meaning sabi nga natin may natanggap kang consideration or may natanggap kang something for value, hindi ka lang accommodator or accommodation. Ang sabi po dito, knowing at that time of issue that you do not have sufficient funds. So ulitin natin, the first element or the first way to commit a violation of BP 22 is when you issue a check today, but you know for a fact that today you don't have the funds in the bank. And then, when it was presented, it was dishonored because, again, of insufficient fund or closed account. That's the first one. Nag-issue ka ng cheque ngayon, alam mo sa panahon ngayon, today, wala kang pera sa bangko. But take note, that is not an element of an offense. Pangalawa, second offense, nag-issue ka ng cheque today, may pundo ka sa bangko, enough to cover the amount of the check that you issued. However, you did not maintain that amount, such that when the check was presented in the bank, again, it was dishonored. So, dapat within a period of 90 days, appearing ma-maintain mo yan siya. Take note, guys, the lifespan of the check is 180 days from the date of issue. After that, it becomes a mere piece of paper. Wala na po yan siya. Okay? Tapos na po yan. That is considered a stale check. Wala na. Kaya nga, within 180 days, dapat ma-deposit mo yan siya from ang cash. Okay. Now, so this is now the explanation sa first offense. Take note, sinabi ko kanina, hindi po element ng crime kung wala kang pondo sa bangko pag nag-issue ka ng checking. While as a rule, dapat yun ang gagawin mo, responsibility mo pag you are a check holder, but sabi ng batas, that is not an element. Kaya nga in practice guys, makikita mo, nag-issue ako ng checking ngayon sa'yo. Kahit wala akong pondo sa bangko, okay lang yan. For as long as I will make sure that when the time comes, meaning to say the date as stated in the check, na dideposito mo yan, mayroon ng laman ang account mo. So again, sabi natin dito, first element of the offense, you issue a check. Dapat may natanggap ka, hindi lang accommodation. And you know for a fact that when you issue the check, wala kang pondo sa bangko at na-dishonor yan. Anong dapat sa gagawin? Kung ikaw po yung payee, ikaw po yung may hawak ng cheque, in-issuean ng cheque, you must deposit that check within 90 days from the date of it. Ito po, liwanagin ko. Ito po yung cheque. And then sabi natin, ang lifetime ng cheque is only 180 days from the date it was issued. Okay? Ngayon, ang mangyari is ganito. Sabi ng batas, dapat i-deposito mo ang cheque within the first 90 days. Again, this is the check, and sabi ng batas, pag nakatanggap ka ng check at payee ka, para hindi ka mahirapan later on sa kaso to prove that the drawer has knowledge of the insufficiency of his funds, you must deposit this within the first 90 days. Anong ibig sabihin nun? Within the first 90 days, nag-deposit ka ng cheque at tumalbog po ang cheque, di nagkakaso na kayo, kasuhan na kayo, kaso kayo doon. So, kailangan mo i-prove doon sa korte or sa fiscal, rather in korte, kung may idea ba ang drawer na pag-issue na ng cheque, wala pala siyang pondo. So, in other words, ang sabi ng batas, kung ikaw po ay payee at diniposito mo ang cheque within the first 90 days, kasi yung 180 days hahatiin natin yan into two. First 90 days and second 90 days. So sabi ng batas, if you are able to deposit the check within the first 90 days at tumalbog po yan, hindi ka na mahirapan sa kaso. You don't have to prove that during the time that the drawer issued the check, he has the idea na wala siyang pondo. Because there is a presumption that if the check was in cash or deposited or transacted within the first 90 days, there is a presumption, sabi ng batas, there is a presumption na ang nag-issue ng cheque, alam niya na walang pundo ang kanyang cheque nang pag-issue siya ng cheque. So mas madali mo nang ilaban ang kaso mo. Otherwise, sabi ng batas, kung ang cheque diniposito mo on the second part of the 180 days, meaning doon sa second 90 days, then kailangan mo i-establish ang fact that the drawer has knowledge of the insufficiency of his funds when he issue a check. Yun po yung relevance why you have to present that check. Mas maigi, i-present mo, meaning to say, i-deposit mo ang check within 90 days from its date. So kung ang check April 15, tapos sinabihan ka, kagaya, kaibigan ko si Cha, nag-issue ng cheque sa akin, attorney, wag mo munang i-deposito yan. So dapat i-deposito mo sa first 90 days para mawala na yung presumption, wala nang issue doon. There is already a presumption na alam niya na wala siyang pondo. Kasi kung i-deposit mo yan sa next 90 days, kailangan mo pa mag-present ng evidence. Now, Sabi po dito, while it is true that the lifespan of the check is only 180 days, ang sabi ng batas, hindi lang sa first 90 day mo yan i-maintain ang amount mo sa yung pera mo sa bangko. For the entire 180 days, dapat may pondo ka sa bangko. Kaya lang sabi nga natin, may pondo ka o wala, that is not an element of the offense of BP22 or violation of BP22. Ang sabi lang doon, na dapat when the check is to be in cash or deposited, may laman ang account. Under this, we have discussed this. This is a prima facie evidence. Sinabi natin prima facie evidence, ano ba yung isa sa napakapatunay na ang cheque nag-bounce? Yung tatak ng bangko na may stamp na dishonor. Yun po yun. There is a stamp, usually rubber stamp yan nakatalak doon, na mayroon siyang refuses to accept, rather to pay for that check. So ito po yung mga instances, daif, okay? So ang sabi po kasi dito, anong gagawin pag tumalbog ang cheque? Then there is this written notice of dishonor. Dapat mabigyan ng notice of dishonor ang nag-issue ng cheque para bibigyan siya ng 5 araw from receipt na makipag-negotiate, credit, or dapat punduhan niya. Otherwise, after the lapse of that 5 banking days, after his receipt of the written notice of dishonor, then the case is ripe for filing before the office of the city prosecutor. Yan po yung sabi po dito sa notice of dishonor. Now, on the notice of dishonor, there are requirements. Number 1, it must be in writing. Dapat ang notice of dishonor, it must be in... Ano ba yung laman? O ano ba yung tenor ng notice of dishonor? Usually, this is prepared by a lawyer or pwede rin ikaw. But in practice, lawyer po yun. Sinasabi po, I write on behalf of my client concerning the check you issued dated April 15, 2025 with serial number blah 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 095, hanggang ganun. Sadly, when this check was presented for payment, it was not accepted. It was dishonored by the bank for whatever reason, daif or closed account. You are hereby given 5 days from today to make funds or to make good out of the check or contact me or contact my client for whatever credit arrangement. That is the tenor of the written notice of dishonor. Then, sino dapat ang mag-receive nun? Ang tao na pumirma. Pag natural person, ikaw po na pumirma. Pag corporation, and of course, that person who signs the check. Hindi po pwede yung secretary. There was a case, may kaso kaming hinawakan dati. Nandun siya nakatira sa Alabang. Subdivision sa Alabang, so hindi ka basta-basta makapasok. So, how would you serve the written notice of dishonor? So, si Jason, para legal namin, pinapunta namin doon. Sa guard pa lang, pinatawagan, hello, nandyan ba si Sir Ed? Bakit? Sino po? May papaserve po. Wala po. So, in other words, hindi ma-serve. You cannot serve, and under the rule, you cannot file a case of violation of BP22 once you cannot prove that there is a written notice of dishonor which was served to the drawer. So mahirap talaga. So ang ginawa namin, nagpretend na lalamog, ganun din, hindi din. So the best way there is, anong sabi natin? If you cannot serve a document to a person because of his refusal, under Article 19, I think, of our Civil Code, pwede ka may notice of publication. Ang sabi lang natin is that pwede mo ma-publish ang notice of dishonor. Ayaw mo tanggapin, ang ginawa namin, pinablish namin because once the notice is published in a newspaper of general circulation for 3 consecutive weeks, that is already considered as notice to everybody and that person also. So yun ginawa namin. Otherwise, hindi namin masampa yung kaso. Kasi pag tinampa mo yung kaso, pagdating pala doon sa fiscal, smart ang kabilang abogado sa amin. Your Honor, Mr. Hearing Prosecutor, investigating fiscal, this case will be dismissed because one of the elements of the offense of BP 22 is that there must be proof that the drawer or the person who issues a check has received a written notice of dishonor. So in this case, wala. Madidismiss ang kaso. Okay? Yun po yun. Okay, we discussed this already. 5 banking days. Ito po yung summary ng ating mga cases. 5 banking days po. Ito po yung dapat na punduhan ng isang drawer. Nasasabi ko palagi yung maker, but if you'll be technical about it, pag sinabi mong maker, para yan siya sa person nag-issue ng promissory note. Pag drawer, checking. So kung ikaw po ang nag-issue ng promissory note, ang tawag sa iyo is maker. Pag ikaw po nag-issue ng checking, ikaw po ay drawer. 90 days. Ano po yung 90 days? What is the relevance of the 90 days? Kasi nga, yung lifespan ng check is 180. I-divide natin yan sa dalawa. Ang first 90 days, dapat doon mo i-deposito ang cheque. Parang sa gayon, hindi ka na mahirapan pag in case ang kaso, aabot po sa korte. So that you don't have to prove whether or not the drawer has knowledge of the insufficiency of his funds when he issued the check. Otherwise, na-deposito mo yun sa next 90 days, kailangan mo talaga ito. 180 days, lifetime. Then, 4 years. What is this 4 years? This is the time when you can file a case. Prescriptive period within which you could file a case. So ngayon, nag-issue po ako sa iyo ng cheque April 15, 2025. Tumalbog ang cheque pag-deposito mo ng April 2025. Tumalbog. Kailan ka dapat mag-file ng kaso? Sabi dito, within 4 years. Ano yung 4 years ng 2025? 2026, 2027, 2028, hanggang 2029. That's 4 years. However, saan natin ibibilang ang 5 years? Ang 4 years. When will we reckon the running of the 4-year period? Sa date ba ng cheque na tumalbog? Sa panahon bang dineposit? Ang sabi ng batas, the 4-year prescriptive period will be counted after the lapse of the 5 days after a written of this notice of dishonor was served. So hindi po sa panahon na dineposito mo, sa panahon na tumalbog, but doon sa panahon kung saan lampas na ang 5 araw after ka na-serve ng written notice of dishonor. So April 15, tumalbog, for example. Tapos sinerban ka ng written notice of dishonor. Hindi ka mahanap, ang hirap mong hanapin. April 20 na na-serve sa iyo ang written notice of dishonor. So sabi ng batas, ang 4 years, doon siya ibibilang sa 5 days after ka na-serve. Na-serve ka ng April 20, 2025, magbilang po tayo, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So dito po magsimula ang bilangan ng prescriptive period ng 4 years. Okay? Yun po ang sabi. Now, who are liable? Of course, ang tao na nag-issue ng cheque. And then, we are now on the last part already. This is on violation. Saan ka magsampa ng kaso? BP 22 ang sabi natin, alam na natin, na-discuss na natin kung ano itong venue and ano po itong jurisdiction. Venue is the place where will you file a case. Makati, Manila, Paranaque, Taguig, Bulacan, these are venue. When you talk about jurisdiction, what particular court will hear and decide case? So sa batas natin, mayroon tayong pinakamababa, MTC, sa mga municipalities, Municipal Trial Court. Sa mga municipalities naman na isa lang yung judge, there are those na dahil malayo, may isang judge, and then the judge served 3 municipalities. Kagaya sa Surigao dati, when I was there is a judge that served 3 municipalities, Lingig, Hinatuan, I forgot the other one. So yun po yung tinatawag natin na circuit because the judge, there's only one judge but serves 3 municipalities or more. Circuit ang tawag nun. But in cities, ang tawag natin Metropolitan Transport. Yun po yung first level court, ang pinakamababa. Ang sunod doon, RTC. Ang sunod doon, Court of Appeals. And ang finally, ang pinakamataas, Supreme Court. So here, ang jurisdiction, the court that would hear the case for violation of BP 22 is the first level court, that is the MPC, MPCC, or MPTC. Ngayon, ang venue, saan mo isampa? Saan mo isampa? Sabi natin, kung saan ang mga elements ng crime nandun. Take note that BP 22 is a continuing offense. Mayroon tayong mga crimes na hindi continuing. Meaning to say, right there and then, tapos na ang crime. All the elements of crime are there. Ito, saksasakin ko ito ngayon dito. That is not a continuing offense. Meaning to say, all the crimes of homicide ba or murder are there at once. So therefore, saan ka magkaso? Dito sa Manila. Because in crime, the venue here is the place where the crime was committed. Hindi, taga saan ka? Taga Bulacan, ako taga Makati. Pwede ka ba magsampa ng kaso sa Bulacan sa crime? Hindi. Where the crime was committed. Pero dito lang yan, kasi dito natapos ang crime. But in continuing crimes, for example, kidnapping. Kinidnap po ito dito sa Manila. Pumunta kami ng Baguio. Dumaan kami sa Tarlac. Kumain tayo sa Tarlac. And then pagkatapos nun, pumunta na kami sa Baguio. Dinala pa kita sa Pagudpud. This kidnapping is a continuing offense. So, saan magsampa si mama niya? Pwede magsampa sa Manila, pwede magsampa sa Tarlac, pwede magsampa sa Baguio, and all those places, kasi again, kidnapping is a continuing offense. Just like BP 22, kidnapping is BP 22 is a continuing offense. Meaning to say, pwede mong nakita tayo dito sa Manila. Taga saan ka sir? Taga Bulacan. Ako taga Makati. Dito tayo nakita sa Manila. And then, pumunta tayo ng Quezon City kasi nagkain tayo doon sa landmark. And then, inisyuhan kita ng cheque doon. Tinanggap mo yung cheque, pero hindi ka umuwi ng Bulacan kasi may travel ka, pumunta ka ng Baguio, doon mo in-encash ang cheque, doon mo tumalbog. Saan ka magsampa ngayon? Ang sabi po dito, the issuance of the bounce check is a continuing offense. The continuance repetitive. So, pwede ka mag-file ng kaso kung sa the place kung saan ko in-issue ang cheque, kung saan ko dineliver. Okay? And kung saan mo diniposito at na-dishonor. So, pwede ka magsampa sa Baguio, pwede ka magsampa dito sa what you call this one, Manila, or pwede ka magsampa doon sa Quezon City. But again, these are venue. But jurisdiction will be on the MTC, METC, or MCTC. Standards of level of evidence. Alam po natin, iba-iba po yung ebidensya na required. Kagaya po nito, substantive evidence, this is on administrative case. Kaya nga sa mga administrative case, substantive, enough lang. Whereas sa civil case, ito po yung preponderance of evidence. When you say preponderance, sino ba yung mas mabigat? No? Evidence which is more credible and convincing. So pwedeng ikaw or pwedeng ako. But in BP 22, because this is a criminal act or a criminal offense, ang sabi po dito, proof beyond reasonable doubt. Yan po talaga ang proof. Now, let's go to penalties imposed. Sabi natin, the penalty could be imprisonment, it could be a fine, or both. Usually, it is the judge, the court has the discretion kung anong ipapataw niya. Pwede first time ka, graduate ka pa lang, tapos start mo pa lang sa business, you don't know really much about the technicalities on check, BP 22, so makita ng judge yun, sabihin ng judge, okay, ang penalty mo, fine na lang, hindi ka na ikukulong. The fine there would be double the amount of what is stated in the check, but not to exceed 200,000. So kung yung check na in-issue mo is 50,000, ang fine mo is 100,000. But kung check in-issue mo na 200,000, 200,000 din. Because the penalty there or the fine must be 200,000 ang maximum. Double the amount but not to exceed. Or, ikaw, sabihin ng judge, ikaw na naman. Ilang cheque na ba ito ang inisyo mo? Pag ilang kaso mo na ito, hindi ka natututo. Then in that case, the judge may impose fine and imprisonment. Okay? Pwede mo yun. Kasi nga, it's up to the judge. Discretion, paulit-ulit na. Okay? Take note, the imposition rests solely on the judge. Now, the concept of double jeopardy. Take note that wala pong double jeopardy sa BP20. Ano ba yung double jeopardy? Sabi sa double jeopardy, you cannot be tried twice for the same crime, same conduct. So, same ang crime, same ang conduct, tried twice. Okay? For example, kung nag-rob ka ng bank, then hindi ka pwede ma-litis ng 2 beses. Pag na-dismiss ng kaso, okay na. Well, ang dismiss ng kaso, pwede pa na i-revive. Take note guys, sa kaso po, lalo na sa criminal, 3 po ang pwede mangyari. There are 3 possibilities in a criminal case filed against you. Number 1, it could be dismissed. But the dismissal there, pag sinabi natin dismiss ang kaso, wala talaga natapos. Hindi talaga natapos ang kaso based on technicality and it could be revived. Kilala niyo yung asawa ni Chito? Ang asawa niya kinasuhan ng violation of Securities Regulations Code. Nahuli siya. Nakulong. Question ng pagkahuli kasi walang due process. Na-dismiss ang kaso. Meaning to say, hindi umabot ng korte, na-dismiss ang kaso. But the problem there, kung ikaw yung sa kanyang side, pwede ma-refile. That's why na-refile ang kaso ngayon, naglilitis sa Pasig. Again, my point is, one of the possibilities in a criminal case, the case will be dismissed. In dismissal, hindi po natapos ang kaso, but because of procedural grounds, kulang ang ebidensya, hindi na-observe ang due process, na-dismiss. But once the insufficiency or once the matter that caused the dismissal is cured, then pwede yan i-refile. Pangalawang possibility sa kaso is that ang pinakamaganda is ma-acquit ka. Meaning to say, natapos na ang kaso, tapos na, binasahan ka na ng sakdal, that the prosecution was not able to prove your crime or participation in the crime beyond proof, beyond reasonable doubt, the accused is found not guilty. Yay! Bunye ka ngayon. Kasi acquitted. Ang worst is convicted. After a litigious hearing, this court finds you guilty beyond reasonable doubt. So, 3 yung kaso natin. So therefore, ang sabi dito, hindi ka pwede maliliti. You cannot be tried twice for the same crime and the same conduct. Ganun po. Kagaya po nito, sa batas, bakit tried twice? Because there is a similar crime committed. Under Article 315 of the Revised Penal Code, estafa, swindling, panluloko. Isa po doon, paragraph D. Letter D yung paragraph 2, sinasabi doon na kung ikaw pala ay check holder, nag-issue ka ng cheque at walang pondo at tumalbo, pwede ka rin kasuhan ng estafa. So in other words, ang tanong dito ngayon, kinasuhan ka na ng estafa, kinasuhan ka na ng BP22, pwede ka ba kasuhan ng estafa? Double jeopardy yun. Yun yung mga sinabi ng iba. Sabi kasi sa double jeopardy, hindi ka na pwede kakasuhan 2 beses. Dito, kinasuhan ka na ng BP22 kasi tumalbog yung cheque. Ngayon, pwede ka bang kasuhan ng estafa dahil tumalbog ang cheque? Same act po yun. Hindi ba yan double jeopardy? Yun. Ha? Kasi sa estafa, sabi ko dito, ganun yun. Nag-post date ka ng cheque, insufficient ang funds, pero may damage. Take note, kailangan may damage. In order for a person to be guilty of estafa for issuance of a worthless check, kailangan talaga may, tawag nito, damage or may malice. Sa BP22, sabi natin wala because BP22 is a special law. Regardless of the circumstances, for as long as you issue the check for a consideration and the check bounce, then there is a violation of BP22. In estafa, on the other hand, kung ikaw po yung payee, you must prove that because of the worthless check, you suffered damage. So yun po. Dahil kung wala kang damage, wala po. There is no estafa if the check was issued on a pre-existing obligation. Ano ibig sabihin dito? Example. Kumuha po ako sa iyo ng goods, items. For example, construction supplies. Okay? Nag-issue po ako sa iyo ng cheque. Pumayag ka. Kasi sabi ko, sir, pwede ba akong kumuha ng mga construction supplies sa iyo? Okay naman, teacher kita pero sir, wala po akong dalang ngayon, pera. Pwede ba issue ko lang ng cheque? Nakakahiya naman sir. Of course, teacher kita So pumayag ka ngayon. Sir, last ko na lang na sabi sa iyo. Ano ba tayo ngayon? April 11. Pwede ba ilagay ko na lang ito April 13? Kasi medyo ilang araw. Post-dated? Okay sir, walang problema. Kasi teacher kita. Yan, di ba? So kinuha ko na ngayon yung mga materyales. Pumayag. Bro, thank you sir ha. So ngayon, nasa akin na yung mga construction supplies. And then, pupunta ka na sa bangko on April 15 para nun i-deposit. Tumalbog po yun. Tumalbog. Tanong, pwede mo ba akong makasuha ng BP 22? The answer is yes. Basta guys, basta ang check it tumalbog, walang question, BP 22 yan. If the check bounces, BP 22 because that's a special law. So pagtanong, pwede mo ba akong makasuha ng BP 22? Yes. Pero kung ang tanong, pwede mo ba akong makasuha ng estafa dahil sa pag-issue ko ng cheque? Depende. If the check was issued on the pre-existing debt, lumang utang nga, walang estafa. Pero if the check was issued simultaneous to the taking of the goods, there is estafa. So in this case, may estafa ba? May estafa po dito. Bakit? Sana kung alam mo lang na tatalbog yung cheque ko, hindi mo na ako pinayagan na kukunin yung mga construction materials. Pero kung ganito ang senaryo, pumunta ako sa'yo, and then may construction materials. Ang worth ng construction materials natin is 500,000. Okay. Binigyan kita ng, sabi mo, paano ba to ang gigs natin? Pwede ba, teacher mo naman ako, pwede ba 2 gigs? Sure naman, pwede. 3 gigs mo na, 2 gigs na lang. Ngayon, sabi niya, sige, 2 gigs. Okay, bibigyan kita ng cash ngayon ha. Cash. Binigyan ko siya ng 250. Do you follow? Tapos sabi ko sa kanya, ang 250 sir, cash na din po sa April 30. Umayag ka. So, yan. Pagdating ng April 30, siningil mo ako. Sir, si Papa kasi nagtatanong kailan mo daw babayaran ng 250? Kasi April 30 na. Sabi ko, wala pa akong cash ngayon, pwede kita issue ng cheque? Sige sir. So, issue ako ng cheque ngayon, nilagay ko May 2. Kasi nga, ganyan mangyari. Dumating ang May 2 tumalbog. May BP22 ba doon? Mayroon. Basta tumalbog, may estafa pa. Wala nang estafa kasi pre-existing ng utang ko. Nabayaran kita ng 250 cash, may utang na ako ng 250 na balance. Then, yung utang na balance na yan, pumayag ka na issuean kita ng cheque na tumalbog. In that case, there is no estafa anymore because that is a payment of our pre-existing debt. So, walang double jeopardy dyan. Bakit? Sabi natin, there is no double jeopardy. While it is true that there is only a single act, that is the issuance of the check, but there are 2 offenses involved. We have estafa, mala ense, under the revised penal code, and a special law BP22, violation of BP22, mala prohibita. So you could be prosecuted at the same time for 2 violations. Now, this is the summary. So difference between BP22 and estafa, point of distinction, this is the crime of BP22 and estafa. Nature of the crime, sabi natin, mala prohibita. Because it's not really wrong to issue a check. Kaya lang sabi ng batas, it's wrong. So there is a law that punishes it, and therefore that is illegal. Dito naman, mala ense. Even without a law violation po yan. Elements, mere issuance, dito kailangan mo i-prove na there is a deceit in damage. Penalty here is 30 days to 1 year of imprisonment. Dito naman severe. This would depend. Estafa, the imprisonment of estafa depends upon the amount amount involved. Kaya nga may mga large-scale estafa, pag large-scale estafa kasi, yun yung biktima mo is 3 or more, di ba? So, depende po yan siya sa amount. Now, sabi natin required. Kaya nga dito, ang advice, ang sabi, pag may check-in na in-issue sa'yo, i-deposito mo sa first 90 days para hindi mo na kailangan i-prove to. Kung dideposito mo yan sa second 90 days, then kailangan mo i-prove. Not required. Period to settle, 5 days. Ito yung sabi natin, notice of dishonor. Dito sa estafa, 3 days. Prescription, we have discussed that already. Within 4 years. But the 4 years, they will be counted at the end of the 5 working days dun sa written notice of dishonor. We have types of checks, certified by the bank. Stale check po itong wala na beyond 180 days. Cross-check. Cross-check naman, ito po yung checking na mayroon siyang 2 parallel lines. Not really across, but 2 parallel lines dito po sa kaliwa. Ang cross-check kasi ini-issue po yan siya to give the warning to the person transacted to that the check was issued for a specific purpose. Kanina, sabi natin, in practice, mayroon tayong tinatawag na rediscounting. May rediscounting tayo, nire-rediscount. Pag cross-check yan, hindi yan ma-rediscount because a cross-check, pag may dalawang guhit dito, ibig sabihin i-deposit talaga yan siya. To parallelize, the purpose there is, sabi natin, cannot be in cash but i-deposit. So like for example, anak kita, pa, mayroon ng bayaran na tuition sa FEU. Magkano yung bayaran natin? 30,000 kasi hindi tayo nagbayad last time. Pag inisyuhan kita ng checking, tapos cross-check, nakapangalan sa FEU, cross-check na. Ibig sabihin nun, walang tiwala si Papa mo sa'yo. Baka kasi i-rediscount mo yon. Kasi di ba, pwede mo ma-rediscount yan. Like for example, FEU 30,000, tapos ganito, may kakilala ka, di ba? Pwede mo pa-rediscount. So, promissory note ka lang. Alasot ka, may pera ka pa, di ba? So, paano yung enrollment mo next semester? Saka na natin yan isipin. Maghanap na naman tayo ng paraan. Buffet muna tayo ngayon. Di ba? Punta kayo sa Binondo. Mapare-discount mo 13,000. In-issue po ito. Ano po, 5% kami dito. So, magkano yan? 1.5 lang. 10% pa. 3,000. So, issuean ka ng 27. Di ba? Anak, musta na yung exam mo? Okay na po, nakabayad na po ako. Di ba? Tinuturuan niyo. That's why, ang tao, mag-issue talaga cross-check. So that, kung ikaw in-issuean ng papa mo ng cross-check, sabi mo, pa, wala kang tiwala ha, alam mo itong cross-check na to ha, grabe ka naman pa. Bakit? Wala na. This is only for deposit, I know. I will not have this rediscounted. Di ba? Anak, nakikinig ka talaga sa lecture. Okay? Negotiated ones. Okay? This is the last topic. Ito po yun. Si A, pumunta siya sa supermarket. Nagbili siya ng groceries worth 1,000. Tapos binayaran niya ng cheque na tumalbo. Tanong, pwede niya ba makasuhan ng BP22? Yes! Basta tumalbog BP22. Kadalasan ang tanong, pwede mo ba makasuhan ng estafa? Yes, kasi simultaneous. Kaliwaan po yun. Nag-issue ka ng cheque, kinuha mo yung goods. Tumalbog. Estafa yun. Pero dito, may utang siya. Kilala niya, teacher niya ako kilala niya, nag-grocery po ako dito. Tapos binigyan niya naman ng credit. Sabi niya, sir, 3 days bayaran mo yung utang mo. Ngayon, after 3 days, bumalik ako sa kanya, sir, bayaran ko ng utang ko. O sige, pwede ba cheque? Binayaran ko ng cheque. Ngayon, may BP22, tumalbog, mayroon, may estafa, walang estafa na dito. Okay? Kasi nga, wala nang malis, kasi nga, this is the payment of a long pre-existing debt. Hindi na kaliwaan. Nakuha ko na yung goods, tapos binagyan mo ko ng credit, sabi mo, balik ko Martes, bayaran kita. Pagpunta ko ng Martes, bakit ka pumayag ng bayad ko cheque? Sana kung gusto mo talagang cash. Okay? So pumayag ka ng cheque, tumalbog po yun, and that is not malice. Therefore, that is not, that will not fall under estafa. Okay, exercises. There is a violation of BP22 when the check that bounced was issued in payment of pre-existing debt. Estafa is committed when the check that bounced was issued in pre-existing debt. So the answer here is A. violation yan siya. Kahit pre-existing man yan or not, basta BP22, pre-existing or not, basta tumalbog. But here, hindi po yun. So the answer here, first statement is true, the second statement is false. Which of the following statements is not true? BP22 does not cover manager checks or cashier check. That is true. So pinanap natin ang false. If the check bounces, the drawer is given 5 days to settle his credit. The answer is true. The lifespan of the check is 100. True. So, hindi na natin kailangan, wala na tayo, hindi mo nabasahin ng letter D. But of course, babasahin natin. In a stop payment order, the drawer is not liable kung kulang ang pondo niya. Sabi natin, hindi. Sa stop payment order, mag-order ka sa bangko, dapat may laman ang account mo to accommodate the amount in the check. And then, which of the following statements about the drawer of the check is not true? Again, we're looking on the false statement. The drawer is primarily liable for the post-dated check. Yan na yung false doon. Kasi drawer, secondary. Ang drawing talaga. So yan, the drawing admits the existence, that's true. The drawing is that's true, that's true, that's true, that's true. Okay? And finally, we have here, the 90-day period to deposit the check from its issuance is an element of BP22. Sabi natin, hindi yan element. Yung 90-day doon na dapat mo i-deposit, kahit hindi mo pa i-deposit ng 90-day, wala yun. Ang sabi lang natin, the 90-day period na dapat mo i-deposit yan, this is only to prove to raise the presumption na yung nag-issue doon, alam niya na wala siyang pondo pag tumalbo. So it's not an element of the offense. In fact, you could issue now a check even without funds in your account. Pero sabi lang natin, para hindi ka mahirapan mamaya pag magkaso-kaso, maganda i-deposito mo sa first 90 days so that there is a presumption in your favor na sabi ng batas, pag dineposito mo yung cheque within the first 90 days from issuance, then there is a presumption na alam ng drawer na walang pondo yung kanyang account. Second, there is no presumption that the drawer has knowledge of the sufficiency of funds when the check is within that is false, di ba? Kasi nga, within the first, mayroon talagang presumption. So the answer there is D, lahat po yan sila. So that ends our discussion on BP22. Thank you very much.